What, what the heck is he doing in this picture?
Well, I was hired by Downbeat to get some pictures of Stevie Wonder when he was performing, I guess, at one of the Capitol Center at the time. And I was shocked like you were when he came on stage and was doing a split. You know, I had seen, Stevie Wonder had performed several times at Howard University in the early days. So I had several pictures of him over the years. But that was the first time, I don't know if he started drinking then or whatever, but I was really shocked and I was really glad to get that picture.
But I know you and I saw him perform downtown on stage for many years, every year on Martin Luther King's birthday, when they were trying to get the King birthday a holiday. But
matter of fact, one of the pictures in the exhibit at the Blackburn Center is a picture of him giving the petitions to Tip O'Neill and Congressman Garcia, and it was kind of funny. Now, everybody knows Stevie's blind, and Tip O'Neill, he said, well, we're taking pictures, give some to Stevie, so, that was kind of wild. Stevie's pretending he's reading, the petitions.
Oh, he can play those things out very, very well. Yeah. But we look at Augie Ogburn and see all the pictures of entertainers he's taken, and for those people who don't know Augie Ogburn, may not know your serious side, but some of the pictures that we have not seen today were pictures of Chancellor Williams. Chancellor Williams, for those of you who may not know it, was a legendary African-American historian who taught here at Howard University and wrote a book by the name of The Destruction of Black Civilization that for many people gave them the first understanding that they had of what black civilization was in the pre-slavery period. But he played a significant role in your life. How did you get to know Chancellor, and tell us about your relationship with him?
Well,
the late Chancellor.
What happened was I had read the book, and the book fascinated me, and right after I read the book, I had gone to Egypt for a magazine. And I was very humbled just at the great, the book prepared me for the trip. And when I came home, I heard him being interviewed on the radio with Clint Walker. And so I knew Clint, WHUR, and I knew Clint. So I'm on the phone. It's very rare that you could have a book that influences your whole life, to awaken you, that empowered you. So I'm calling Clint like crazy, like, Clint, where and how? How did you know him? Where is he at? Blah, blah, blah. He says, well, Chancellor lives around the corner from you. I says, what? He lived at the Woodner.
On 16th Street Northwest.
So I wrote a letter, and I was going to send a special delivery, but I ran around there and I gave it to the desk man saying, hey, this is a special delivery for Chancellor.
I got to tell you, the reason why Augie ran around there is because Augie Ogburn, for as long as we have known him, has lived in the Adams Morgan area, and so that was not far from the hotel. Yeah. So the person at the desk said, well, why don't you take it up to him? And I was saying to myself, well, I'm not ready really to meet him and stuff. So I took it up to his apartment, and it was like a long hallway, like them hotels, Yeah. So I stuck it in his mailbox, and I turned around, I'm running to get out of there, And before I could get down to the other end of the hall, he opened the door and said, thank you, with a real deep voice. And the letter was basically saying, I have to meet you, I have to know you. I went to Egypt, your book influenced me, tell me something, you have to let me know, one way or another, that kind of thing. And I didn't hear from him the next day. I was hurt. And about 2 days later, I got a call from one of his assistants saying that Chancellor would see me the following Thursday from 3 to 5. And I fasted that day because I wanted all my brain action. I didn't want no digestion or anything to take any energy away from my brain. And when I got in there, we talked for 2 hours. He talked an hour and I talked an hour, and it was a great relationship. And I had no idea that he was blind, though. Yeah.
And he asked me, because of being in the music industry, he asked me would I possibly work with him, a couple hours a week. And basically, he wanted me to travel with him because the book, The Destruction of Black Civilization that you mentioned, was very popular in academia, even in all the schools, because we went to a lot of the large universities. Amherst, University of Mass in Amherst, California, Northeastern,
For a while
Chicago.
there, you saw Chancellor, you saw Augie.
Yeah, And
learned a lot from him.
And unbelievable. When you're around individuals like him, he's just talking off the top of his head and you're writing it down. It was one of the greatest experience. It was the great experience. And like I say, when you know your history, you are empowered. And I always suggest to people, know who you are, even though your grandparents, get as much information as you can so you can pass it on down to your children. It just gives you a foundation that can't be moved when you know your history.
You describe your work as the employment that brings enjoyment, which suggests to me that you're never going to give it up.
I'm in it for the long haul. You know, they'll be putting me in the ground. But, you know, I notice, you know, a lot of photographers, they stick around. Like a newspaper photographer never quits. You know, they'll stay on the job until they, you know, you never get a newspaper job because those guys never leave. You know, I mean, they can do their job and they can do other things, you know, on the side. But photography exposed me to the rest of the world. And it afforded me the experiences that I don't think I would ever have, because I was born in Brooklyn and raised in Jamaica, Queens, and I don't think I would have had the experiences if I didn't come to Washington, which to me is an intellectual town and an educated town.
Was there ever a time during the lean years when you said, I got to do something else, I got to give this up?
You know, really, it was one time when I was talking to a good friend of mine, Bob Daughtry, and I was telling him, like, I got to get me a job, I can't handle this no more. And he mentioned to me, he said, because before I came back to Washington to go to graduate school, I had worked for General Motors. And I was sort of like one of the first in management. You know, I graduated in '68, so they were trying to put people in these large companies. And he looked at me and I said, do you remember General Motors? And I have never thought about it ever since, about getting a job. And we teach each other about that today.
So you could have been David Ogburn, corporate type.
Yeah, but you know, it didn't work out. Actually, the racism got to be so tough. If I had a mentor like Jackie Robinson did, to say, well, this is how you play the game. But I didn't have anybody to say, this is how you play when you're dealing on that level. And you know, I'm from the playground, and you know, you come at me wrong, I'm saying, you know.
So, in very many ways, Aggie Ogburn decided to invent his own game, the game of the backstage pass, and a lifetime of photographing performers, a lifetime that continues to this day, even though he's now at a point where he's receiving awards and getting some recognition. I know that all of those of us who know and love you want you to keep on not only doing what you're doing, but being Aggie.
I'm loving it. Employment of enjoyment.
Some surprising poll numbers reveal where Americans stand on public education. Those surprising numbers when we return.